Hey everyone, you're listening to Dirt Grow Podcast with your host, David Burma. Welcome to Dirt Grow Podcast. There's a special guest here today. He's an organic farmer, one of the largest organic farmers I know in southwestern Ontario. He got liquid digest for his fertilizer. He's into spelt dehulling, buys grain, sells grain. And he's also getting to a pelletizing mill for the dehulled spelt. And at one time, I understood that he also milked a cow for a while, just one cow for his family. So that's kind of cool. But anyways, super excited to introduce my guest, Dan Konzelmann, here on Dirt Grow Podcast. And so, Dan, I'm always impressed. Like some farmers, they say, "Oh, why don't you go be an organic farmer?" Or they say, "Well, there's more money in organic farming. Why don't you organic farm?" And I'm like, listen. I suck at farming to begin with, so there's no chance of me becoming an organic farmer. I think a lot of farmers, they want to make more money, so they become an organic farmer, right? And it's the worst reason to ever become an organic farmer, I think, because like if you're already not a good farmer, then don't get into organic farming, right? You have to have a love for the crop, for the seed, for the plant, for everything, to understand it in the depth that you understand. I remember going a year ago, and you were just showing to me how that you plant oats and how you watch the oats being pulled back in by the worms and all that kind of stuff, which I even never had any idea, right, about that kind of stuff and the detail to that. So just as an organic farmer, and a good one of that, I think your yields are probably similar to ours, and we're not organic farmers. That kind of level of detail, how'd you become understanding, aware of that kind of detail to farming?
Well, it's experience, and we started organic farming in '99. I have to say it was a little bit the money too, how we start. I think there's a lot of guys starting with the money object because you have a better chance, or you have a chance to make money a different way. But then as you go years after years, you create your love with the ground, with the organics, with the plants, with the whole thing, how it works together, and you have to work in a different way of farming. Like you don't have those synthetic fertilizers, or you have the chemicals. You have to make sure your ground is in good condition, that it will allow to grow a healthy crop that doesn't need fungicide and all the chemicals. That's the goal behind it. And then you understand after a while which crop follows the next crop to have a good condition for the next crop to grow healthy.
Right.
And it's just all those things, like they work together, and you learn more and more as you go. You do mistakes, and then you think something else, you will try something else. And
right.
It's always about trying and figuring out. And
yeah, every mistake's a test plot, right?
Yeah.
So they say. So you came from Switzerland, though, Dan?
Yes.
Right? And what age were you when you came from Switzerland?
What do you say?
What age?
Oh, I was 30 years old.
30 years old.
Yeah.
Married?
Yes.
Kids? Any kids?
3 children.
3 children. 30 years old. Wow. And you bought a property that I was aware of, from Steve Holinka,
yes.
Correct? And how many acres would you have bought at that point in time?
We bought 500 acres.
500 acres was that deal.
Yeah.
And Swiss people, they have ability to both know how to farm, but also understand equipment. It seems like Dutch people, they know how to farm. Usually, they don't know understand about equipment. You have a kind of bit of a magic to know how to do both. It just seems that in nature, I know other people that have that strength too, like that are in the community that understand both the farming side and the equipment side. Like you guys are putting a plant in now for dehulling, all that kind of stuff. Like your brain has to work in a different way than most farmers to have that mechanical ability on a side. You quite often you build your own stuff. You have a bit of a fabrication side to you too, and that kind of stuff. Like what like it's just kind of magical how you built. I just diverge here. There is no secrets to what you do. That's what I think I was thinking ahead of you time. There's no secrets, but you do it successfully. You find fertilizers to put on your soils correctly. You buy and sell grain. You learn how to grow a successful crop. You learn all these things. There's no real secrets. Anybody come see it. It's just there's some ability that you have, and then B, your work ethic that I think is unique. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I would agree. And about the equipment, everybody has his hobbies. And my hobby is equipment, steel, fabricating,
right,
doing something with steel, find something new.
Right.
And then the next thing is, because we are from Europe, we see the equipment, how they use it in Europe, and then
Yeah.
we are in Canada. We see how they use it in Canada, and
Yeah.
then we try to use the good thing from Canada and the good thing from Europe,
Right.
and mix them together. And then with both together, you're a step ahead, I think.
Right. And you did you bring quite a bit of equipment? Do you bring quite a bit of equipment from Europe at one point in time?
No, we only bought small stuff, more like for the workshop
Yeah.
stuff, little equipment, nothing
Yeah.
big.
And what you'd use for like in the row cultivation, you also have a machine, I believe, that actually zaps the. Do you have a machine that zaps the weeds too, or something?
Yeah,
like
we have a weed zapper, but that's for later in the stage in crop, when the crop goes like probably over 2 feet tall, when it's too late to cultivate, too late to tine weed, then you can zap the weeds. They are taller than the soybean crop, and then you could zap it with power. This is a generator behind the tractor, produces 15,000 volts, and you have wheels on the ground to give you the ground, and then a copper line in the front of the tractor who touches the weeds, and then the current goes through the weeds, through the ground, and destroys the weed, the whole weed, not just burns it off. It destroys the whole plant, and it doesn't need anything, just power to drive through, and works good.
So it zaps the plant and kills it
Yes.
through electricity.
Yeah. It's like
Wow.
it cooks the cells because the electricity goes through it. It's like, yeah, if you get zapped, you get hot.
Like a human.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
But it
you-
works better on stemmy weeds, not on grassy weeds.
Right.
Grassy weed is more like you burn them off and then they keep going. But the stemmy weed, the current goes through the stem into the root, and it works good.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. So, one of the biggest challenges that organic farmers seem to have is how do you deal with fertilizer? Like, how do you deal with having enough nitrogen? Nitrogen is the biggest challenge, is it not?
Yes.
Nitrogen
Nitrogen is
on-
the biggest one. Yeah.
Yeah. So usually when you put on any manure type products, to get enough nitrogen, you end up having to put down quite a bit of phosphorus and potash. Or which ones are your highest in the soil? Would it be phosphorus or potash?
Yeah, I think with potash a little higher than phosphate. Yeah.
Potash, yeah.
Yeah.
So, tell me how you went around and made a solution for nitrogen on your crops. It's spelt, wheat. Would you grow wheat also?
No, just spelt and corn.
Spelt and corn. So,
Yeah.
how'd you make a solution for dealing with nitrogen needs in your crops?
Well, first of all, it starts with the rotation. We grow spelt and interseed with red clover as a cover crop, who has legume, will fix nitrogen.
Yeah.
And then we grow spelt the second year. We do red clover again to just add on to that account.
Yep.
And then we will let the red clover grow after the second year and flail it down. And then with that, we will apply compost, 3 tons of compost, and then 4 or 5 tons of cattle manure as a little bit of source of nitrogen. And then in spring, after we plant the corn or the spelt is already planted, then we apply top dress liquid digest manure.
So when you go from spelt to red clover, so that you interseed the red clover in the wintertime, right?
Yes, a little frost seeded in April or March, April, yeah.
You just spread on top of the ground, or
Yes.
do you? Okay, and so then if you're gonna plant spelt the following year, that red clover doesn't have much of a chance to grow.
Yeah, like you harvest the spelt like in late July, early August, and then we let the red clover grow until beginning of September, and sometimes we get 2 nice cuts.
Really?
We lay down, like 2 feet tall, and then we start applying manure and work it down. Yeah.
But then, that's understand before corn, but before spelt, what do? You do spelt, then spelt again.
Yeah, but the spelt we plant spelt like first week October, last week September, something in that time.
Oh
frame.
wow, quite a bit.
Yeah.
That's I guess that's normally. That's pretty normal.
And then the same for corn. Then we plant corn the next year, the year before, like after the red clover, we will plant oats and peas as a cover crop. Like we work the ground after the red clover, get everything killed, then we plant oats and peas to stay over winter to cover the ground.
Wow. So when you take that, when you go from that red close spelt to spelt, are you working up the ground to go plant the spelt again?
Yes.
Yeah. Is that a deep tillage or just like a light tillage?
No, it's fairly deep tillage. We use like a soil saver type ripper.
Okay.
We use that twice, disc it once, and then we plant.
Yeah.
We have a little bit of time in between to get the red clover a chance to dry out and die, and then we plant spelt again.
Yeah, yeah. So something cool about what you do with the digestate, liquid digestate, is your setup.
Yeah.
Explain a little bit how you apply that, and because it's kind of interesting too, because I thought, as you go down between the corn rows, I thought you would actually kill that corn out, or just don't plant there, but you actually plant there, right? So can you tell me a bit about what you do there, as far as how you apply it, how you plant your crops, what happens to those rows that you drive over, and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, it depends on the season, but to start with, we have a liquid manure storage, like a lagoon with about 20,000 cubic meters. And,
what would that be in gallons?
In gallon, it's...
Is that 2 or 3 million?
Yeah, it will be 3 million, yeah.
3.5
million. Yeah, 3.5 million gallon storage. And the important thing with the liquid fertilizer in spring, if you don't have animals, is storage. If you don't have storage and you expect the manure come in spring from somewhere, that's not always coming. But if you have your own storage, you guarantee that you have supply.
Right.
That's the first thing. And then... to apply it, we have a 15,000 gallon quad tank from Noon with 90-foot triple bar on the back, and then we run.
That goes between the rows.
It goes between the rows. Yeah, it's a 20-inch hose to hose space where the manure dribbles down.
You're on 20-inch rows with your corn.
I have 20-inch rows too.
Why'd you choose 20-inch rows?
Because we always wear 20-inch rows, and we feel it's just. The advantage to 20-inch rows over 30-inch rows, it's covering up, shades out the weeds faster than 30-inch rows. Yeah. Otherwise, we just started farming with 20-inch, and that's why we left it that way. 30-inch row is good too. Yeah. So you have this Noon
manure spreader. It's 15,000 gallons.
Yes.
And you have a 90-foot broom.
Yes.
90-foot broom is at 20-inch centers, so it drops the manure down in between the digestate between the rows. And how much nitrogen did you expect from the cattle manure and the red clover versus what you're going to get with the liquid manure? What's the ratio? We're getting 100 pounds of N previously with the manure and the red clover, and 100 pounds with the liquid digest, or what are you expecting? What are you hoping for?
Yeah, I think I will apply, the red clover is about 50 pounds, and then the manure and the compost, the solid manure and compost in the fall applied probably another 50 pounds. Yeah. And then we will come back with another at least 50 pound or close to 100 pound, I would say, of digest.
Liquid nitrogen.
Liquid digest.
Yeah, nitrogen within that. Yeah. And so 15,000 gallons, you're putting how much down you putting per acre?
For corn, we put down 5,000, and for spelt, we do 4,000, 3,500 to 4,000 gallons.
So you're doing 3 acres to a fill, approximately.
Yeah.
And so are you able to go to the back of the field, one strip to the back with the spreader usually? Or how much?
When we go in a long field, 1,350 meters, or what's that, 4,000, 4,500 feet?
Yeah, 4,000 feet, yeah.
Then we need 3 loads to make the full length.
Oh, really?
And we always stay in the same tram line. We never drive just through the field. It's always controlled traffic. Every year the same spot driving on it, just to minimize the compaction.
Yeah, across the whole field. Yeah. So in that spot, do you grow, how wide are your tires?
The tires are 900, and it's from the front of the tractor to the back of the tank. Everything is 900, and everything is a 90-inch space. And we can run through over one corn row. Yeah. And the outside row keeps standing.
Wow.
We run RTK on a tractor, and you can go 12 miles an hour down the field, and everything stays in between the rows.
Really?
And this spring it was nice and dry, and we had no damage on the corn row we drove over at 6-inch height.
Wow.
When we applied
the
manure, yeah.
Wow, that's incredible. So you actually don't find years so next year or wherever you grow beans too?
Yes.
Yeah. So you don't feel like in those areas that you drove, there's not much yield lost in general?
No, because we have an inflation system too on a tank.
Right.
And we deflate the tires when we are in the field down to 20 pounds. And it doesn't seem like it makes a damage to the following crop.
So what would you be, how many pounds loaded versus not loaded, Dan, on the PSI?
Yeah, I mean, like on the road, you go 35, driving into the field, 25, staying in the field, we go down to 20 pounds.
Right. And is that all automated?
Yes. Yeah, you have a switch in the tractor. It's a computer box. Switch in the tractor. You flip the switch. You can preset your 3 stages, like how many pounds you want on 1, 2, or 3.
Yeah.
And then if you're on the road, you just go on the top on number 1 on the road. And then when you go in the field, when you have like go around curves and stuff, you need some air in the tires. Otherwise, you lose a tire.
Right.
But
have
then
you ever
when
lost
you
a tire?
are straight in the field, then you let it out.
Yeah. Have you ever lost a tire?
Yes. We did. First day, trying. We learned our lessons. Never go down to 18 pounds if you do 180. Yeah.
There's always lessons, right?
Yeah.
So, what percentage, Dan, would you like rent versus own? Would it be 3/4 own? 50/50. Okay. Yeah. Interesting. I've always said it must be frustrating renting ground as a organic farmer.
I can complain.
But I mean, just the fact that you have 3 years to get it prepared.
Yeah, I guess it's 2 years of actually do the organic thing, but you can't sell it as organic because the first year, if you do conventionally soybeans, spray Roundup on there, last spray May, and then that already kind of counts as T1, and then the second year you do your crop, do your cultivation and everything, and sell it as IP or conventional. The next year again, and then you just need more than 36 months after the last synthetic application until you can deliver organically or be organically certified.
Right. So you would do what? Beans the first year, and then what would you do the next 2 years?
Yeah, it depends what you do. Yeah, like sometimes we do beans and then spelt.
Yeah.
Or we do 1 bean, 1 spelt, and then into corn first year organic.
Yeah.
And sometimes you could use some of the transition ground for your own seed or
right.
Or IPs, and then still the return is not too bad.
So you can use it for that transition ground and for your own seed?
Yeah, for some of it, for my own stuff.
Yeah. So what got you into spelt? You know, you became one of the largest buyers of spelt, buying spelt grain. What got you doing that? Was it just because I understood a while ago I was talking to you about it? Was it because you saw such a movement in the market, or that you just thought that, I got to hold on to this stuff, and then you got into dehulling and all that kind of stuff? Like what got you in that journey?
Yeah, in the beginning, like the first year when we did organic, I had a friend of mine ask me if I would grow organic seed for him, like organic spelt seed.
Yeah.
And that's how I get introduced with the spelt. And I like the crop because I like processing, and I like to do something more than just harvesting. And then if you can processing, then you have one more step what you are in control of and can make some money on.
And you keep these guys busy in the wintertime?
Yeah, in the wintertime, throughout the year, yeah.
Yep. So you got into dehulling, and what percentage would you buy versus what you grow? Would you only grow 10% of what you go through in a year?
No, normally I would do probably 30% I will grow, and 2/3 I will buy in.
Yeah.
Or between that, or a quarter, like a quarter my own and 3/4 buying, something in between that.
So you started dehulling it. I don't know how they dehull it. That'd be interesting in itself. But I went the other day, and you're building this plant to basically pelletize, like they would pelletize feed or wood pellets or whatever. And so you're pelletizing it, and your goal is to go into the bedding correct? The bedding market with this?
I would say whoever wants to buy it. But
Right.
I mean, bedding is one thing. The other thing is like a feed supplement, like as a roughage for cattle feed or heifer or something like that.
Yeah. Why is pelletizing important versus just selling the way it is?
Right now we have it loose, and every time when it's windy outside, it blows the stuff around the yard when you try to load it onto a trailer, and then you bring it back to the compost yard. But you have rainy days, and then you can access your compost yard when we are heavy in dehauling. We are doing like about 4,000 bushel of hauls a day if you have a good day dehauling, and it's a big pile because like 2,000 bushel is only 8 ton. And we have like 1,500 ton of hauls a year. And then when we palletizing, then we can managing that weather issue better. We can palletize it, and then it shrinks 5 times in size. And
5 times.
Yeah.
So what do you expect for? How do you even figure that out? Will it be half this weight the grain when you're done? By the time you're done, or what?
It will be like a barley weight.
Barley weight.
Pelletizing is like, I would say 42 pound a bushel or something like that.
Yeah. Right now it's almost fluff, right?
Yeah, it's fluff. Like 2,000 bushel, 8 ton. It's nothing. And when it's pelletized, 2,000 bushel will be 40 ton.
Yeah. And has this ever been done before?
It's more a European thing.
Oh yeah.
In Europe, they do it quite a bit.
Oh really?
Yeah.
You've seen it before in Europe?
Yeah, I heard of it. Seen it on YouTube and stuff.
Okay.
But yeah.
Interesting.
But I've seen it. Yeah.
See, that's the advantage you have when you come from Europe. You know about the magic that happens in another country that you're not aware of here, and you bring it here. So that's kind of cool. So that was quite an expensive plant. When's that supposed to be up and going by?
I hope in the next couple of months.
Yeah. So when you come up with these ideas and you have to go design this plant, how much do you get help with, and how much do you do yourself as far as the design is concerned?
I mean, like the first plant I did, we had help from Bill Fair. He is a friend of mine. He helped me where to put what and what's the sequence, like what is the follow-up, like where is it running through and what's the next equipment. But the new plant we did, I designed it myself, and we learned from what we want to change from the old plant towards the new plant, how we want to change the flow of the grain and the dehauling, how we want to do that to maximize productivity and save on labor too.
So you have some family working with you now?
Yeah, I have a son-in-law.
Yeah.
And another son-in-law they do some pigs.
Okay. Yeah. And you have how many sons and how many daughters?
I have 4 daughters and 1 son.
Oh wow, 5. 5 children. I didn't know that was. Yeah, that's cool. So what was the advantage for going from Switzerland to Canada? Like, was that a good move for you to come to Canada?
Yeah. Yeah, because like in Switzerland we had 25 acres of land. We had like mixed, like a little bit of cows, a little bit of cash crop, a little bit of hay, full-time working beside it, like working day and night. And in Switzerland it's more family oriented, the farm. Like if you're getting old, it's always your son takes the farm over. It's not getting sold like here. Like it's hard to buy land or to rent land. Even if you rent land, it's always a relative who gets it. Or
oh, really?
If you work out, you're a part-time farmer, and a part-time farmer is not equal to a full-time farmer. That's why you don't get rented land over there. And that means, like, to me, my friends I have in Switzerland, if you're at the right time and doing the right thing at the right time, then you can get land. But if you're not there at the right time, like, I mean, it's just so spotty. Some are doing really well, and some are just the same. And the government regulations are a big issue too. Like you get everything. It's so well organized from the government, and they pay you money. They have subsidies. If you do something wrong, you don't get subsidies, and that's how they control you, how you farm, and tell you what to do. And
really, a lot of control.
It's not appealing to me.
Right. And
in Canada, there is like, it's different. Here you can expand. Obviously, we did, and there's just we came at the right time too. I guess it's a little harder to start now, but 25 years ago it was easier.
Right.
And we could. It seems like in Switzerland we had all those good ideas how to expand the farming, like we did, like all composting and everything we want to do, but nothing worked. And then you come to Canada, and then those ideas one of a sudden get a hold of. And like in the beginning, we did a lot of custom manure spreading and then seed cleaning and working in a shop, and it was just everybody was happy to come and get stuff done in the shop, and like everything we did was successful. Like and it was
it all worked.
It worked.
Yeah. So when is that kind of going on the same topic? Like when we were out there going out there during COVID and doing the freedom stuff, you showed up all the time. Was there a reason why? Is that coming along with that? Like why was that important for you? Is that to do with anything, your past, your history, like that during COVID that you showed up to the freedom rallies and that kind of stuff? Was there any correlation with that, or you just felt it was necessary?
Yeah, I'm sure I felt it was necessary, but I like freedom and I like doing my things, and I don't like when the government tells you what to do in your health situation and controls you that way. And I like to do my free decisions, what I want to do. Yeah. And as long as it's in.
Of course. Of course. Yeah, no, I think that's one thing that we, as farmers, we appreciate and we love is the amount of freedom we have in the countryside, right? Yeah. And I think that's something that's we showed up more amongst us was just, we love that freedom that we have still out here that, we just leave us alone. Yeah. We're good on our own. And to that topic, you one day I went by your place and I talked to you for a bit and you said, yeah, I got to go milk my cow. You had a cow you milked for a while.
Yeah, for 20 some years.
Not the same cow.
No, different cows. We had a cow and the cow had a calf, and then we started milking the calf and the calf got bigger. And
yeah. So you just use it for your own milk at home?
Yes. Yeah. Just for my own, for my
family.
Don't
you pasteurize or any that kind of stuff? No, just raw milk.
I like raw milk.
Yeah. And you no one's got sick or died on that?
Nope. No. Everybody stayed healthy.
Really?
Perfectly
healthy.
Wow.
So that's another myth right there. You don't always have to pasteurize your milk. So what happened? Now I heard your son-in-law. Now you gave it to your son-in-law.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was very kind. But he gives you back the milk.
Sometimes, yeah. But
yeah. I love that. So what's the goal from here there, Dan? What would you tell the next guy? What would you recommend to the next guy? He's thinking about organic farming. What's your opinion? What's a good idea, not a good idea? What determines if you should be an organic farmer, or you should not be an organic farmer? Is there a certain soil type you should have? Should you have livestock so you can have manure? Like, what was the important things that you would have to be an organic farmer, a good organic farmer?
Yeah, I mean...
Centralized location, maybe? I noticed that you kind of keep things as close as possible for manure distribution and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, that's good to keep the land together, but it's still... If you have spread out land, you might have rain in one place, but you can still cultivate or plant on the other spot 25k away. Right. And but I mean, for as an organic farmer, I think it's passion to farming. You have to have time. I think it's good to be a full-time farmer because everything is about timing and do the cultivating or the planting exactly at the right time. It's very critical to do your weed control at the right time. It saves you time down the road, and then availability of equipment. Yeah. To have the right size equipment, but you could start smaller and get bigger as you go.
You can grow. It's not you have to be big with this, right? You can use some simple equipment. Can you still?
Yes.
To make this work? Yeah. You can buy simple cultivation equipment, that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to ask you, equipment-wise, Dan, what do you recommend? Like, is there certain tractors you usually buy? Is there a reason why you buy those tractors? What do you normally use for equipment? I understand you have a bit of fence, but you bought a Claus tractor. Was it a Claus? Was it?
Yeah, Xerion, just for high horsepower.
High horsepower. Yeah. Is there any reason why you'd recommend certain equipment versus other?
I mean, I wouldn't name any brands of equipment. Like, you need a good RTK, like a really good working RTK. That's the main thing. And then you need skinny tires to go between the rows, and then you need cultivating equipment, and and field cultivators with white shears on it that they will have a full cut the first pass over, and it's just a few of those things.
Right.
But it's the main thing in organic is have a good reliable GPS RTK where you can plant RTK, cultivate RTK. It makes your life so much easier. And that's the main thing. Doesn't matter what, New Holland or Fendt or Case. It doesn't matter.
Right. Good. I was gonna ask you about tractors, people. Like, I guess you have quite a big staff now, or how's your staff? What would you run for staff? How many employees?
Yeah, we had 12 until now. Yeah.
And so, do you have the same amount of staff year round?
Yes.
And you can do that now because of your processing and that kind of stuff. Keep all
we do
people.
processing, and on the other hand, it's normally the processing side have their own full-time employees on the processing side.
Oh, you do.
The field guys are staying in the shop when we're not in the field.
Okay. And you used to bring in people from Switzerland.
Yes.
You still do that?
Yeah, somewhat. Yeah.
A little bit.
One or two.
Sorry about the question. So when those people come back in from Switzerland, is that you bring in help from Switzerland? Is that a year length period?
Normally it's a season from April until Christmas.
Okay.
But they can stay longer. Their visa will be valid for 18 months.
And is that hard to do, that paperwork?
No, that's not too hard to do.
Okay.
Because it's kind of a deal Switzerland has with Canada.
Okay.
It's just for, if you are a farmer in Switzerland, then you can widen your horizon, go to Canada, see something else, and they kind of support that.
Yeah.
Then it's fairly easy to get that visa.
And your success with hardworking people is pretty easy. Like, they're usually pretty hardworking typically.
Yeah, they're normally like farmer sons, and
and typically
like they learned farming already. They most of the time they want to drive big equipment all day long. Like they want to see good equipment and versatility. Like have different stuff to do. Like always something else. And interesting. Like to learn something for them.
Yeah. So what's the biggest takeaway you'll give any young guy right now, Dan? Here's your moment. Here's your moment to give any young guy advice. Well, what's the advice you give him?
Like, what do you mean with that? Like a guy from here?
From here, anywhere. They want to be successful. What is, they want to work, they want to get a job, they want to farm, they want to do whatever. What's your word advice for them?
Well, the number one is like you just have to be a hardworking guy. Don't shy work and look forward. Be a risk taker. Take risks to move forward and. And
would you recommend education? What level of education would you recommend, Dan, if you're telling a kid that want to be a farmer, where would you tell him to work till? Would you recommend him some college? Would you recommend him start after school, high school? Would you recommend him even get his high school? What do you recommend?
I mean, there's different ways I would recommend. Like the one way is after high school, work for a farm. Like if I would do organic farming, go to a good size organic farm, even in Michigan or in Canada, learn how they do it, go to a different farm for another year, learn how they do it, and then make up your own mind how you want to do it or how you could see how you could do it.
Yeah.
Education-wise, it's like I would say education is good for like go on Acres USA. That's like a big show about organic farmers. Or
called Acres USA?
Yeah. It's really? Like a conference there. Like there's a lot of speakers all over the world talking about their ideas. Yeah. And then Guelph conference in organic. Yeah. Like there's all those ideas. I think I had in the beginning in the year, like you kind of go to those conferences, get all those ideas, but then you have to make up your mind which idea you want to follow. Like, and then like what works for you, what is good for you, try to apply that in your farm and see what works. And when you find something how it works on your farm, then stick with it and try to make it better. Don't switch around with big ideas. Like once you kind of set to it, then stick with what you have. Just tune it and get it better.
Fine tune it.
Yeah.
Fine tune it.
And then you get forward.
What do you think the net profit doing it well in organic versus conventional guys? Is there like double the net profit? What's your guess?
I mean, I always say like organic farm or conventional farm is just a different way of farming. I mean, a good conventional farming. Like he will get close to what a good organic farmer will do.
Right.
And then there's like not so good organic farmers who would do less than.
Yeah, that's true.
Like
I think there's a higher win and a higher loss. In organic farming. Yeah, I would totally agree.
Yeah,
Yeah. Whereas conventional is more you take a lot of the risks.
Yeah.
You know, if you get the question is you get 40 bushel or 50 bushel beans. You know what I mean, or 55. Like it's not. Whereas you do something wrong with organic, you got less than half the crop there. Right?
Yeah, and it's. With organic, if you grow your organic crop, if you compromise because you can't go cultivating because too much rain or so, you don't you lose 20% of your crop right there, and then if you have another chance like that, you lose another 20%. Where in Roundup, if you lose your window to spray today, you can go 5 days from now and still have the same result without losing yield. And that's a big factor.
Yeah. Good, Dan. Well, I appreciate you coming out. I'm doing this podcast mainly to help farmers, young guys, but anybody understand farming better, understanding the opportunities, understanding how to be successful still in the farming. I think there's always going to be an opportunity to be successful in farming. If you're young and you're motivated and you really work hard, I think there is. I think it's a good point you bring across. I think people always ignore that point there. They shy away from work, and it's like if you go hard, if you go work hard and you go show up for entrepreneurial hardworking farmers, you're going to learn a lot from them, right? So and I honestly have loved watching your success and what you guys do over there in organic farming. I think it's super cool. Definitely not my ability, but I love to see when other people have the knack for it. And I think one thing I say about you too is interesting is that you're still in a tractor. You're still, you're one of the guys that are doing the work, right? You work just as hard as any of them, right?
Yes.
At your young age of 25. So, no, how old are you? But no, that's pretty cool. So good. Thanks for coming out, Dan, and thanks for tuning in to Dirt Grow Podcast, and we'll see you the next time. Thanks for listening to Dirt Grow Podcast, where every Tuesday we dish out the dirt. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and check out dirtgrow.com for more content and episodes. I'll see you next Tuesday. Ciao.